Good morning, Michael Havers here from Penn News, and today I'm in Hertford, which is part of the Hertford and Stortford constituency. On the face of it, this is a very safe Tory seat. It has only ever been represented by Conservatives in Parliament, and at the last election, the party here had a majority of almost 20,000. An almost unassailable lead, you might say. So why am I here? Well, you see, I think the ground might be shifting. You see, there's a district council that covers Hertford and some of the surrounding towns and villages, and at last year's local election, going into them, the Tory party had a supermajority on that council with 39 out of the 50 available seats according to the BBC. But something remarkable happened. Come local election night, the party lost more than half of its seats and was replaced as the largest party on the council by the Green Party, who went up from having just 2 seats all the way to having 19. It's a remarkable transformation, and one that we've seen echoed even more locally in Hertford specifically. You see, there's a town council here which is also run by the Green Party, and in neighbouring Ware, which is part of the same constituency, their town council is run by the Green Party, and in bishopsstortford, which is the other big town in this seat, their town council is run by the liberaldemocrats. So everywhere you look in this seat, you can see the Conservatives are on the retreat. And there was a very interesting interview with someone from the Green Party in a local newspaper, a very good publication called the bishopsstortford Independent. And there the Green Party said that they really believed that they could take this seat off of the Conservatives. It's a remarkable thought. The Green Party, whose only parliamentary foothold so far has been in radical Brighton, building themselves a new green stronghold here in once safe Conservative seat in Hertfordshire. Well, can it happen? I'm not so sure, but we're going to talk to the voters here today to see how they feel going into this general election, to understand how they feel about the Conservative Party and whether they think it's time for a change. Okay, here we go. First of all, how do you feel about the upcoming election, and how do you feel about the Tories' time in office so far?
Well, I mean, as a sort of fairly staunch Labourite, or I would say Corbynite, I'm actually quite happy to see that they are on the way out. I strongly believe that, although, you know, anything can happen in an election.
Well, I'm glad that there is a general election coming up and we can have our say. I'm not very pleased with the current government and what they've done in the last 14 years, and I think that Labour will make it a lot better.
I'm disappointed about the election, but I'm sincerely hoping the other side does not get in.
I think it's needed, because something's got to change, but I'm not sure that it will change anything because it's so broken.
Well, it's about time we had an election. I think Tories are on the... I think they're suffering at the minute for the sheer fact that they've been in for 14 years. I think if anybody's been in for that amount of time, they tend to get fractious and run out of ideas. So I think that's one of the things they're suffering from at the minute.
How do you feel about the fact there's now going to be an election, and how do you think...
I couldn't give a damn. When you get to my age, you've heard it all before, they're all full of shit. I don't care if people are offended by my language, I'm more offended by politicians.
But all I know is Labour will get in somehow, some shape. Can they change the economy? I don't know. When did you know doctor said they're going to strike just before the election? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Right, so you think it was politically motivated?
Oh, absolutely.
Can I ask why you're disappointed about the election?
I'm 89. I've seen 4 or 5 Labour governments. I never want to see another one.
Right.
I could go into details a mile long, but I'm not intelligent enough to remember.
How do you feel about the election, and how do you think the Conservative Party's done this past 14 years?
Initially they haven't done that bad, but then they start collapsing a little bit. The inflation's gone up, the cost of living's gone up, wages haven't gone up. You know, the National Health Service hasn't been improved, or little improvement. Just everything is just gone too expensive for the public.
I think their track record over, you know, with relation to austerity over the last sort of, you know, however many years it's been now, it's felt like a lifetime, hasn't been positive, and ultimately austerity will be the big sort of knife in their back, in my opinion.
Being polite, it's been absolutely awful. They've messed up so many things, from the pandemic to schools, national health, and so much more. Illegal immigrants.
Right.
You know, where are they? All these illegals that come over on the boat, and you're sort of like, where are they?
There is war in Europe, we have had a pandemic, and we have had Brexit, whether you're pro or against it, so they've had some headwinds. So I think...
Do you think they've done well in the circumstances?
I don't think they've done that bad. I think when you sit back and look at it, you think... I mean, I've not been a big fan of Boris, I've not been a big fan of the leadership, but actually, compared to how anybody else may have done, I don't think they're not going to win, but I don't think they've done as poorly as people make out.
I like Sunak. He shouldn't be Prime Minister, don't get me wrong. But academically, this guy is good to be a Chancellor because he understands economics. Jeremy Hunt, what's that all about? He doesn't know anything about economics, so please walk with me.
You speak to everybody, everybody's struggling. Even people with nice business, they will tell you that we are struggling. You know, the government is taking from here and taking from there and leaving nothing for business people or even normal people. And the wages haven't gone up.
And how do you feel about the Conservatives and the Conservative leader?
I'm very happy with them. Leave them alone, let them get on with doing a good job. They're making mistakes, of course they are, but do not let us have an idiot in.
How do you feel about the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak?
The one we got now is first class.
You have decent MPs on both sides of the house, but when you get closer to senior politicians, they're in control and they can spew out what they want and promise what they want. But I'm 74 years of age and I've heard it all before.
So for you, there's not a lot between Conservatives and Labour in that regard?
Not for a working man. I don't trust any of them. It's just talk.
Listen, Sunak, I don't know who can be a prime minister. It doesn't have a face for a prime minister, but I think he's a fantastic chancellor because this guy understands economics. You can't deny that.
So you think good chancellors don't necessarily make good prime ministers?
No, they don't. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but in my experience, they never have made good prime ministers.
The government should stand up for the right of Palestinians, really. You know, there's too much. It became a global problem.
I couldn't believe that he said the other day, the Conservative, I can not even remember his name, the Conservative guy.
Oh, Rishi Sunak.
All the things to be worrying about is getting people to do national service. I just don't think there's far more important things to want to be bringing up than something like that.
Hello, and before we continue, can I just invite you to drop us a like if you're watching on YouTube, if you found this video in any way engaging, and yeah, please subscribe too, helps the channel, and that way you won't miss any future videos. And if you disagree with something that somebody said today, please let us know down in the comments why. I'd like to see some healthy debate going on down there. And can I also invite you to check out the Penn News Substack at pennnews.substack.com, where you can find our weekly Vox Pops in full with analysis every week, as well as all the other stories we're working on. Okay, let's get back to it. Round here we've had something of a green surge in terms of the local election results. There was, I think last year we went from having 2 Green councillors to 19, and the Conservatives became the second biggest group in the council, having had a super majority. How do you feel about the Green Party, can you tell me?
I'd rather have the Green Party than the Tories.
I think probably maybe 10-15 years ago, green issues may have been a bit of a fringe issue, so therefore you need the Green Party, but now I think most of the parties now have a green agenda, so therefore there's no real reason for the Green Party.
I'm excited to see more gains for the likes of the Greens and so on. I think they've every ability around here, especially if you look at previous local elections and so on, and you've seen the gains with regards to the Greens. I think that they're making really important headway.
I think that they would do well because I don't really think a lot of people are overconfident with Labour.
Right.
And I said that I definitely don't think they'll vote Conservative, but I'm not sure that Labour has done enough to build the confidence of the people. So I think the Greens will actually do quite well.
Do you think they've become a sort of handy place for someone to put their vote when they're not sure?
Yeah, because I mean it is so difficult because you sort of think, well, I don't really want to vote for anybody, but I would like them to do well because they can't be any worse than it.
People can vote for what they want. I'm totally democratic. I just don't like any of them.
Sure.
And the Green Party, who knows, I might give it a go. The 2 main parties I'm fed up with.
Yeah.
Same old crap, yeah, all the time. Promise, yeah, right.
Yeah.
In 2 years' time, all they say is, we haven't done it yet. You're still making up for the mess the other lot left behind.
How do you feel about the Green Party, if you don't mind?
Oh, I love the Green Party. I wish they would get in. But you see, again, for me, I'm very big into the environmentalist stuff. But when they campaign, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Because I saw a thing the other day, quite interestingly, that actually, probably in the 70s, green issues was a Tory issue.
Right.
Because the traditional Tory is your countryside man, is your farmer, is your... And so the green agenda was actually a right-wing agenda. And some issues can flip between sides.
I wonder where I've been speaking to voters who making that vote from Conservative, that leap from Conservative to Green, maybe that's...
You could do that because when people say right-wing and left-wing, it's a bit of a broad church on both sides.
I'm quite pleased that they got in. I mean, I endorse their beliefs in the Green Party, and we need to be more green. I think that's becoming more and more obvious with the world's weather changing. So, so I'm quite happy that there was a party specialising in that area.
I think that the Greens are very good at tapping into kind of grassroots policies as well. Hertford's quite interesting because you're not very far from London, so you've got a lot of these sort of individualistic Londoners that live up here, but then you've also got your kind of like natural Hertford sort of people that have been up here for a long time. So I think to see that the Greens are appealing to both of those types of people really, for me, shows the gains that they're making in their policies.
So you could be like you kind of a Rory Stewart right wing, a centre. It was maybe the podcast I saw it, where he's
Lovely speaking to you. Trump is guilty. Are you kidding me? Okay, so then he can still run for president? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's work it this way. So you're a director of, let's say, AstraZeneca. There's been misconduct been filed against you. You will be suspended, right? If they find you guilty...
It depends on the limit. I think you can have felons who can still run for...
Angel, what country do you come from? The country that I come from, you cannot.
Well, it depends what country you're in then, doesn't it? So I think...
No, Angel,
It's all gone a bit off-piste here. And have you given any thought to how you might vote this year?
None at all. I am a 100% Conservative and always will be. And I'm quite happy to put that on camera and on television or anywhere else.
In terms of where I intend to vote here, 100% Green.
Right.
100%. Initially, for me, when we talk about local elections and so on, it's been around tactical voting, and that's sort of what drew me to it. But I've since then become much more just naturally drawn to their policies. I just think they're really, really exciting, morally anchored party for me.
No, I'm a big fan of Trump. He's just a funny guy. And he's also very intelligent, by the way. You can't run that empire without being smart. It doesn't work. When it comes to politics, though,
it's up to the voter. The voter, I would vote for him, but he should be allowed to run if he wants to.
I vote by post, so I'll wait for that to come through, and then sort of go through who's on it. But really just want the Conservatives to get back in. I would rather Labour than Conservative.
Do you think it's time for a change then?
It is time for change, of course. You give anybody a chance, and they do their best. The Conservatives, they've done their best, so they should give the space to somebody else to look and do something else.
Labour.
You're going to Labour this time round. Would you be a normal Labour voter, do you think, or has Keir Starmer won you over?
No, I've always been Labour.
Right, okay.
And Keir Starmer's quite a bright guy. He doesn't have the charisma that some prime ministers have had, but I think his heart's in the right place.
Sure.
I just hope they can do what they're promising.
Do you think he has a chance to win here in Hertford and Stortford?
No. I think this is predominantly a Tory area. I don't think... Yeah.
I do not have faith in this woman who wants to come in. In my opinion, he couldn't organise a bus stop.
Oh, Keir Starmer, you mean?
Sorry?
The Labour leader, Keir Starmer? Yes. And can you tell me how...
No faith in him whatsoever.
It's only 4 years, right?
Have you got any thoughts on the British election, out of curiosity?
Oh my God, that's amazing! So somebody says
All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to finish up with this guy, and then if you give me 2 minutes, I'll
he's an emotional young man.
All right, see you later.
just hang around 2 minutes, and we'll speak to you properly, if that's okay. One final question:
Yeah, go
have
on.
you given any thoughts to how you might vote in the next election?
It's very difficult. It's all being fought on the centre ground, so I'm actually thinking the other day that perhaps if it was a Corbyn against Rees-Mogg, then you might jump one way or the other, but it's all a bit mushy in the centre ground, which I'm actually probably quite comfortable with. Although I do think the Lib Dems have kind of lost their way. I would be quite interested, but I think what
Did I have Lib Dem? Are you kidding me? Liberal Democrats? Do you know what they did when we went to coalition? They said, oh, by the way, we should not raise tuition fee. It went from 3,000 to 9,000. My son went to uni at that same section.
Yeah, but then
Luckily enough for him, he's an academic.
I think once you're,
Oh, come on, walk with me.
I have a view on this.
You can have one, young man.
I still swing in between different parties, but I'm not going to vote for them anymore.
You're not going to vote for
The Conservative.
right? Okay. And have you narrowed it down to?
Not yet, because I've got the family. Everybody's like giving me decisions, and the kids are saying vote for this and vote for that. So still to be decided.
Still to be decided.
Not Tory or Labour.
Right.
Green? Well, look, I might do. I might just not bother.
So the problem with the Lib Dems in the past was that you can be quite pure if you're never going to be in power, and you can say that I think this and I think that, and I'll be high-minded. But I will give the Lib Dems some credit that when they did when they had the opportunity, they got into government, they got into power, and you've got to make compromises.
Your best guy was Vince Cable. He was a fantastic
I'm not a Lib Dem. I'm just
Listen,
saying.
I love Vince Cable. I think he was very honourable.
This is very strange.
I absolutely will not be voting Conservative. I'm completely morally opposed to that concept, and I just think that Rishisunak is a really poor leader. And in terms of Keir Starmer and the Labour Party, raised, as a child of a very strong Labour household. Keir Starmer, though, himself been very, very disappointed on a lot of his lack of action on things such as Gaza and Israel, and a few other kind of policies that I think are really important to sort of my generation.
Are you happy to give us any idea of how you might have voted in the past?
I think it used to always be Labour, but I actually think the last few times it's been the Green Party, I think.
But at least they rolled their sleeves up and got involved. Now they took an absolute hammering for the whole thing.
No, they did, and then wait a second, what's that guy's name again? Your leader?
Not my leader. I'm not
the
Lib
Lib Dem guy. What's his name again?
Ed Davies,
No, not Ed Davies. The other one. Oh, Uncle Clegg. I mean, come on. He's a technocrat. You know what I mean?
So I think.
Give me just two minutes.
I give up.
Do you think you will vote this year though? Is how I'll round off. Because you say you're kind of comfortable whoever it's going to be, but
I might not, because I'm against this ID business.
right, okay.
So I think
It's actually pretty good. I lived in Italy for like 7 years and it works.
So are you not planning to vote?
No.
So you don't have any preference for one party over the other?
No, not particularly. I wanted to bring some young guns, people that actually really think, people that analyze situation. I'd rather go and live in some island somewhere or just go and live in the woods where I don't have any laws, it's just me and nature.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Well, I don't know what I was expecting, but I definitely wasn't expecting that. That one went a little bit off the rails, didn't it? People interrupting each other, and there were some people who were feeling this green surge and some other people who weren't at all, I think it's fair to say. There wasn't a lot of decisiveness all round, actually. And maybe that's what we're going to see, is that people aren't too sure where to put their votes, and you're going to see strange results all over the place. Certainly, I don't really know how to call this one. My best guess is that the Conservative Party will hold it, but that's just because they always have. Right, well that's it for now. Like I said earlier, drop us a like if you're watching on YouTube, and subscribe please, helps the channel. And I guess I'll see you next time. Cheerio.